Metaphysicians Companion. Welcome to the first episode of our podcast. Here we shall be exploring possibilities beyond the everyday. In this episode, we introduce ourselves by relating those experiences which first drew our attention to a wider view of life.
Hello listeners, we're glad you're here to listen to our podcast. My partner in crime today is John.
Thank you, Graham, and hello listeners. I hope everything's going well for you. And this is our first episode, and we'll start it off by giving you a little flavour of what we're like. So Graham, can you tell me what is it that actually motivates you to be part of this podcast?
It's actually empathy. I love sharing knowledge. I love teaching people stuff about spirituality, etc. So for me, it's all about the sharing and the giving. And yourself, John?
Well, for me, it is what I would call a relentless curiosity. I've been interested in things that are outside the usual, and I've just gone for it. If it attracts my attention, I want to know about it. If somebody tells me something, I want to know about it. And I want to know in detail, not just repeat what someone told me.
Well, there you have it, listeners. We have our motivation to do this podcast. At this stage, I think that's all you need to know. So we'll switch in to our first episode. It's on how we got here.
How we got started on this path. Graham, what was your first spiritual experience, or whatever?
My first spiritual experience was having energy flow through me done by a priest.
Wow. That's not the normal thing that people would have done by a priest, but tell what happened. What was your experience?
Well, it would have been, because it's about confirmation that people go through in the church system. This was the Church of England, and I was at school at the time, 12 years old, and I'll just reiterate about what happened. I was on my knees in front of the altar of the church, in the church, and the bishop was standing above me. He was making the blessing and the cross, and he put his hand on my head, top of my head. And as he did so, this burning energy seemed to come from his hand. It coursed through my body. I'd never felt anything like this before. It was not of a physical kind. It was more of a electric current, yet it didn't have the jolt of electricity. It was just a flow of energy that was actually, now I remember, quite warm and hot. It wasn't uncomfortable. It was just disconcerting, and I remember my stomach churning and my heart pounding, wondering what the hell was going on here. It was really quite an experience.
That does sound amazing. What did you make of it afterwards? I know you were 12. But,
Well, part of it was, of course, my logic stepped in. Oh, I say my logic. My logic now stepped in.
You started thinking.
I was thinking about what had gone on, and I was thinking, it was just my imagination, because I was uptight. Because if you can imagine this, I'd had 5 weeks of lessons about being spiritual through the church and what confirmation really meant, blah, blah, blah. And there I was in the school chapel with every boy of the school already seated, looking down on me. And I was in a queue of 12 boys, and I was number 4 in line. And my gut was going overboard, thinking, oh, what is everybody looking at me for? Are they all thinking something's going to happen, or am I going to stuff it up or something or other? Because I was really nervous about the whole thing. I really found apprehensive what it was. So my stomach churning bit, which I mentioned before, I thought maybe that goes back to that. Maybe it's something else.
Yeah, heightened emotion.
I was really hyped up. I really wasn't. So really, well, I remember walking up to the altar, and I was actually shaking. Probably not visibly, but internally. And then I knelt down, and then the ceremony started. And to this day, it's haunted me.
Yeah.
But I've also found to this day that that energy was very real. In a sense, it was something that a person can give to another person.
Yeah. The big thing that I heard there, is that after it happened, the clash between thinking and feeling.
Absolutely, because you walk away, and I was in the first row of the pews, and because I was in the choir, so I was in the front row seat, so I could see all the eyes of all the other boys looking at me as I walked into my seat.
I was sort of wondering, did anybody else see what you felt? Yeah.
Well, basically, to be honest, I shut up about it because at my school was a lot of bullying.
Yeah, picked on for being different. The difference,
Yeah, so
that sounds like a really different experience.
So I kept quiet about it. I didn't share it with anybody.
Yeah.
In fact, probably this is one of the first times I've ever shared it with somebody that this ever happened.
Mm.
But it was the key to me getting into spirituality. An interesting part is, of course, I didn't go down the church road. I went down another road.
Oh, that's interesting. We might leave that for later.
Yeah. Now, John, I've told you all about me and the bishop and how I see this energy floating into my head. And I've got a feeling you're going to tell us something really exciting now about your experience that really changed your life.
Yeah, well, your story about the bishop there really reminded me about how I found the energy flowing in myself and how I learned to listen to my inner voice, my intuition.
Wow.
Yeah, the inner guide, if you like. And it started with LSD, but I'll tell you, where I started from actually was in high school, and that was very materialistic. Physics answered all kinds of questions, and got to university, I started studying engineering. But then, because it was 1970.
Cool, man.
Yeah, and so I tried LSD. And it was amazing. Things aren't what they seem to be. And, of course, it all started as just entertaining thing to do on the weekends. But I started to notice that I could feel the presence of other people in a way that's, feels physical.
Would you say that was actually triggered by the LSD, but it actually wasn't the actual thing that happened? You get my drift?
I think the the way it's like an amplifier. The LSD is like an amplifier, and this is a sense that I think we all have. It's just that it was one of the things that I noticed. I paid attention to this, and that's what made it happen. I don't think it doesn't come from the LSD itself.
It comes from within.
It's my response to it.
Mm-hmm.
And my response was to go, "Oh, isn't this interesting?" And it's like I'd heard about people seeing auras, and you'd find someone say, "Oh, you've got this lovely blue aura," or something of the sort. And I go, "Okay, well, maybe it is and maybe it isn't." But I could feel it. I could feel this like a magnetism around. Like the way you play with magnets, and you've they put two north poles together and they bounce off each other. That kind of feeling. And I found, that's, I can feel what's happening here.
So can you just feel it through your hands?
Yeah, it feels like I feel it through my hands. Yeah, put my hands out and I can feel like I guess the way I would explain it is like, when you push your hands through water, you can feel the water flowing around.
Mm-hmm.
But if you could imagine a very fine water, it's like a fluid. Yeah, in some ways it's like a fluid, in some ways it's like magnetism. But I found this by my girlfriend at the time had injured her arm, and I started massaging her forearm, and then for some reason I started feeling a couple of centimeters above the skin, and it felt like I was feeling inside the arm. I could feel the muscles and the tendons, and I could feel where it was sort of inflamed. I mean, it felt a bit prickly to me, it's like if the fluid had prickles in it. And I found that I could sort of push them along until I could get a hold of them and pull them out and throw them off. Just spread it back out into the universe or something. And so I started feeling this energy around, this field around people. I could feel where the chakras were. I could feel when they were sort of out of balance, and I could do things to help the flow, improve the flow. And people would give me feedback like, hey, that feels great. And I was still in a state of not accepting what I was doing as being real, and I'd sort of go, nod my head, go, that's the way it works. Because I'd read about all of these things, it was when I encountered it, being, like I said, very intellectual, reading books, finding out, what can I find out about this? Read the Yoga Sutras,
So your logical mind wasn't really accepting what you were feeling.
Yep, exactly. And, after a while, I went and did a remedial massage course, physical body, physiology, muscles work this way and connect here and there. But at the same time, when I would do the massage, I'd lift my hands and feel what was going on in this aura.
So it added another dimension to your actual massage.
Yes, yeah. And I found, though, that when working with a massage, it's all, physical body, it's all logic and reason. It all works very good with mechanistic explanations, because I'm sensitive enough to feel the muscles. However, when I started working with the field, I found that intellect would take me only so far, and that it would really work better if I went, okay, what do I do now? And just wait for an answer to come from within. And sure enough, a good idea would float to the surface, and I'd go, okay, I'll do that. I'll just follow the intention. And I found...
So do you think there's another part of your mind speaking to you?
I've
got you here.
You really do. It's sort of like a more permanent part of self.
Now, only asking that because I thought the listeners might try and might want to know about that, whether it was actually you felt it's part of you rather than outside of you.
It is part. I feel that voice was part of me. It's sort of part of the life within that motivates the consciousness or motivates the intellect. It's like a deeper part of myself.
Well, that's quite a statement actually. So I can actually equate with that. That's fine. But I think you're going to tell me now about something else that happened.
Yeah. Well, as I told you before, because like this particular time I was working with a woman friend of mine, and as massage, like doing remedial massage. I was working on her back, and then I went to the energy level because she knew I did that kind of thing. And I'm like, here I am calling it energy when I said I don't like it. But I'm working there, and I sort of go, okay, and I'm passing it over to that deeper part of myself, going, and I'm waiting, and I said, nothing's coming. It was just unusual. And then I thought, yeah, look, I'd heard about all these guides and helpers and stuff on the other side. And I sort of went internally, okay, I don't know what to do. I need some help here. And sort of opened up, let that statement go and opened up. And almost immediately, I felt this rushing flow through my arms, like much more intense than I normally would feel. And the woman on the table, she's gone, "What was that?" And I said, "Oh, it's nothing. It's good. It's all good."
So do you think that came from in you, or did it come from out of you?
That felt like it was coming through me.
Through you. So do you think there could be from another part of you that you haven't locked onto yet?
I do not know where that came from. Like I said, at the time, I felt I was asking, normally, like I said, I would be asking myself what to do, my higher self, if you like.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's like, it is intuition, the inner teacher telling me, and it's part of myself telling me what to do. This was somewhere beyond that. And I addressed it to an external, broadly to any external entity that happened to be passing by. I mean, really, And I got a response that was more powerful than anything I'd ever done before, and it felt like it was coming through me, not from me.
Wow, that's quite an experience, John. That beats my little one, hands down. That's a great segue out, John.
Yeah, well, I think we've talked a lot enough for this week, and perhaps we'll leave the conversation for next time.
Well, look forward to you listening for our next episode.
Okay, farewell.
Farewell.